This is the Everyday AI Show, the everyday podcast where we simplify AI and bring its power to your fingertips. Listen daily for practical advice to boost your career, business, and everyday life.
How is AI going to impact the real estate industry? It's something that we all do. Maybe you're not a realtor, but at some point in our lives, we all buy, sell, rent homes. So how is artificial intelligence going to impact the process in which that's done? Well, we're going to talk about that today and a lot more on Everyday AI. Welcome. My name is Jordan Wilson, and I am your host. And Everyday AI, it's for you. It's for me too, but it's for all of us, everyday people who are looking to learn about generative AI, but also how we can leverage it to both grow our companies and to grow our careers. So yes, today we will be talking with a special guest today about how AI is already impacting and will continue to impact the real estate industry and how real estate companies even work and operate. But before we get to that, let's start as we always do by going over the AI news. All right. And as a reminder, go to youreverydayai.com, sign up for the free daily newsletter. Yes, this is a live stream, a podcast, but if I'm being honest, I think the daily newsletter is where it's at. If you really want to grow your company and grow your career, we break down each conversation every single day, as well as highlighting more of the news pieces and a whole lot more. And I mean, our website right now, it is like a free generative AI university. We have now about 190 interviews with expert guests ranging across all topics. So no matter what you want to learn, you can do so on youreverydayai.com. All right, let's take a look at the AI news now. So Google is showcasing its newest AI video product. So Google has announced a new AI video generator called Lumiere, which can create realistic, diverse, and coherent videos in various scenarios. It uses a unique architecture to simultaneously handle the space and time aspects of a video, resulting in a smoother and more consistent output compared to existing models. So yeah, Google is throwing their hat right in the ring here. Meta has, their kind of text to video product, but the leaders here obviously are Runway and Pika Labs. But Lumiere kind of stands out for its ability to generate more realistic and diverse motions and options for easy editing. It's unavailable for actual testing at the time. Google just kind of released some teasers on it. All right, next piece of news has to do with a lot of money, $3 trillion. So that is the market cap that Microsoft just passed. So Microsoft reached the $3 trillion market cap for the first time, driven by its success in artificial intelligence and the broader tech rally that we talk about on the show all the time. Microsoft became just the second company to eclipse that $3 trillion market cap, after Apple recently achieved the milestone as well. So it's been major tech companies, including Microsoft and Meta, that have seen their market valuations soar, mainly due to investors' interest in AI. And it's always funny to look at the AI, the quarterly calls when it seems like a race to see which company can just say the word AI more times, right? But we've talked about this earlier in the show, even about how the Magnificent Seven tech stocks, all AI heavy, accounted for 70% of the S&P's gains in 2023. So yes, 7 stocks accounted for 70% of the S&P's gains last year. All right, last piece of news, more big tech. Here we go. But some of the biggest names in AI are actually teaming up with the U.S. government. So the National Science Foundation, NSF, is launching a National Artificial Intelligence Research Resource, which is Nair, Nairr. All right, so this pilot program is in collaboration with the top tech companies and federal agencies in order to ensure the U.S. remains a leader in AI research and innovation. So this is a somewhat rare public and private collaborative effort led by 10 federal agencies and 25 private and nonprofit organizations to democratize access to advanced AI resources in the U.S. So all the major tech companies are in this, your Amazon, IBM, Microsoft, Nvidia, etc. And they're all contributing in-kind resources. Yeah, big cash to support the program. The effort is in response to the AI resources being concentrated and difficult to access for many communities, right? Yeah, a lot of, AI tech, it's, out in Silicon Valley or maybe just the larger cities, here in the US. So this is an effort to bring it to all areas of the United States. All right, so for more, make sure you go to youreverydayai.com and sign up for that free daily newsletter. But we're not here to talk about the news all day. That's Mondays when we talk about news that matters. Today, we're here to talk about real estate. And don't worry, If you're joining us live, like Josh tuning in from Dallas, or Brian joining us from Minnesota, Harvey, good morning to everyone. Mauricio and Woozy. What are your questions about how AI is going to impact the real estate sector? I'm excited, but don't worry. We have an actual guest today to answer those questions, not me. Don't worry. So please help me welcome to the show as we bring on Cat Allday, who is the VP of AI and Product Operations at AppFolio. Cat, thank you so much for joining the Everyday AI Show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah. Special good morning to you, right? West Coasters joining at 5:30 a.m. I love it. But Kat, maybe just tell us a little bit about what you do as the VP of AI and product, and a little bit also about what AppFolio is and what AppFolio does.
Great. So I'll start with telling you a little bit about what AppFolio does so that it makes sense to what I do at AppFolio. So AppFolio is a property management software company. So we build software to support the property management business as well as the real estate investment business. So when we think about real estate, everybody's looking to buy properties. Either they're investing in those properties. Everybody lives in a property, whether that you're an owner or a renter. And then there's the whole ecosystem around managing those properties, whether those are vendors like your plumbers that need to come in and repair, or people who are doing leasing and advertising. So all of those things. So we support that entire ecosystem of end users that use our products to manage properties day to day. And what I do at AppFolio, so for the last few years, I've been leading our AI initiative, which is really how do we apply these technologies to our products to help our customers run their businesses. And over time, my role has evolved, and I also run sort of our operations function within the product team.
Nice. Maybe can you give us just a glimpse of different AI initiatives that you've had at AppFolio so far, and also how those have been received, right? Because I think, all companies and, whether you're software or not, are trying their best to implement AI, to make people's lives easier. So maybe just quickly talk about what AI initiatives AppFolio has already put out there and kind of what the reception has been so far.
Yeah. So I'll share, this is I think pretty exciting news. So in 2023, over 90% of our customers used an AI feature in our product. So pretty wide adoption. What we've done is we've made it really easy for our customers to engage with AI, and they may not even realize it. So our very first foray into AI was with a leasing assistant. So we have a product called Lisa, which is the digital leasing assistant. So if you think about the process of renting an apartment, you might be driving down the street, you see a for lease sign on a banner outside of an apartment building, and you go to call that number. Well, what if it's at 9:00 at night? More than likely, you have to leave a voicemail, and somebody might call you back the next day. But then you're at work, right? And so it's there's this phone tag that happens. Well, with this product, what we did is we added the capability for a bot to interact via text message. So when you call that phone number, if we recognize it's a cell phone, we're able to send a text saying, hey, I'm not able to talk right now, but I can interact with you via text. And the bot uses SMS to communicate with the prospect and can answer questions about the apartment building, price, do they allow pets, pretty much everything you can think of. And now what that bot has done is it's taken that heavy load of that, prospect conversation. And then what it does is it directs it to okay, do you want to come view the apartment? And then it hands it off to a real person, to the leasing agent. So what it's done is it's freed that leasing agent up from answering all that inbound and really focus then on, hey, I'm going to show the apartment because that's the real value I add as a person, right? Now I can use my sales pitch and actually do that work versus filtering all these leads that might not ever actually go anywhere.
Yeah.
So that was our first foray, and pretty powerful, as you can imagine.
Yeah. 90%. That's a huge adoption rate there. You bring up a good point, because I think, we're going to be seeing more and more of bots, right? Not just, in real estate, but, across any probably major website that you use. And, I think that sometimes, bots got a bad name, right? Because chat bots have been around for, more than 10 years, but they've been traditionally not always very smart. This is before generative AI. When you went and chatted with a bot, it was kind of pre-programmed answers and it was super frustrating. So do you think that Cat, just across the real estate industry, is this kind of a trend? Because it's people sometimes don't look at apartments or houses during the normal 9 to 5 schedule when people in the real estate industry are working. So is this kind of a wider trend, across the industry to use generative AI in this way?
Yeah, I think, especially in the leasing space, I think that's where AI first really got a foothold in real estate, because of this. Like, I think you're right. It's not, people don't look for apartments during business hours, right? When leasing agents are typically working, and leads were getting lost left and right. So that's definitely where AI sort of got a foothold. But I do think that, in the future, we're going to see generative AI specifically being used throughout the life cycle of a resident in a unit, right? So not just in the upfront leasing part, but like throughout the time that they are living in that unit, right? And every interaction they have with the property manager. So I think that's pretty exciting.
Are you still running in circles trying to figure out how to actually grow your business with AI? Maybe your company has been tinkering with large language models for a year or more, but can't really get traction to find ROI on Gen AI. Hey, this is Jordan Wilson, host of this very podcast. Companies like Adobe, Microsoft, and Nvidia have partnered with us because they trust our expertise in educating the masses around generative AI to get ahead. And some of the most innovative companies in the country hire us to help with their AI strategy and to train hundreds of their employees on how to use Gen AI. So whether you're looking for ChatGPT training for thousands or just need help building your front-end AI strategy, you can partner with us too, just like some of the biggest companies in the world do. Go to youreverydayai.com/partner to get in contact with our team, or you can just click on the partner section of our website. We'll help you stop running in those AI circles and help get your team ahead and build a straight path to ROI on Gen AI.
You know what? Let's talk a little bit about this, because I think when a lot of people who maybe aren't, the VP of AI, such as yourself, but I think when people think of AI in general, they think, and sometimes I even fall into this way of thinking, is okay, well, this is less human interaction. Is that the case? At least when it comes to, where real estate is headed next, does it mean less human interaction?
Yeah. So people get into real estate because they like people. It's a very relationship heavy industry. And I think that this is a concern I've heard from lots of people I've talked to. I think what's exciting is that AI is actually going to allow people to have more human interaction. So think about the person who's sitting behind a desk at the property management business, answering the phone, answering all these inbounds, answering emails, doing all this stuff. They're not interacting with their residents. They're not out there creating community in their properties. And so if AI can eliminate all of that busy work that they're doing at their desk, and now allows them to get out into the community, running community events, interacting with their residents, solving problems face to face, I actually think you're going to have more human interaction with these technologies than they do today. So I think it's going to be the opposite. They're going to, their residents are going to wish they'd go away. Just kidding.
So a pretty relevant question here from Cecilia. So even to that point, right? Because I think sometimes the holdup in AI, I think, that I've seen, working with businesses, is that handoff from AI to human and not losing it. Yeah. So Cecilia here asking, in the situation that you said, where, someone can text, or, when they call a number, they get an automated text back that, gives them directions or information. Cecilia asking, does that lease bot actually send the text thread to, a sales or a realtor so they can have that handoff?
Yeah. So in our product, we have this thing called a guest card, which is it's like in a CRM where you have all the information about the prospect. So that entire text conversation, so all the questions that the prospect asked and everything that the digital leasing assistant responded, how they answered those questions, all of that is kept in the guest card. So when the leasing agent is showing that unit to that person, they know exactly the questions that person asked up front. So yeah, they're totally equipped with that, which I think is amazing, because if you think about what happens when you're on the phone as a leasing agent talking, you're not writing down everything that the person asked. And so it's actually a more thorough, I think, experience for the leasing agent to have all of that verbatims.
Yeah. I love it when our Everyday AI live audience does a better job than me coming up with questions. So Tara here saying, can you share with us how your company has addressed the challenge of customers who may be hesitant to use AI-powered features in real estate, and how you've worked to overcome this barrier? Tara, great question.
It's a great question. I think it's demonstrating value, helping the customer understand like how this technology actually will help them meet their goals, their business objectives. Just like any piece of software, right? You have to show the value to get somebody to adopt it. And so it's about ease of use. It's about a seamless experience. I think those are all things that are pretty core as you're designing these types of tools and how they can be used. And it's no different in the real estate industry than any industry, I don't think. But I think it's about like really showing how you are eliminating the work that they don't want to do. And that's pretty easy to convince somebody once they are able to, not have to do the 5 extra steps, right? And we're seeing customers who will say, hey, this thing that I used to do, this particular activity used to take me 40 hours. And now I'm able to do it in 2 hours. So those huge like improvements sells itself. You don't have to do a whole lot of convincing.
Sure. So, Kat, what happens in that scenario though, where, maybe someone was doing more of these tasks, like you said, that took up 40 hours of their week. And now if they, successfully, use AI, of course, there's always a little bit of a learning curve, but yeah, then what does happen if, there's 40 hours of manual tasks, and now they can use, different AI solutions, and it's 2 hours or 4 hours. What happens to those people's jobs, their work? What happens with that?
Yeah. This is one, I get this question all the time, right? And I think now you're able to take that person who you hired for a very important reason, which was, hey, they're really good with customers, or they're a great relationship builder. And now you can allow them to do what you really hired them for. Because I guarantee you probably didn't hire them to do 40 hours of data entry, right? And so I do think these jobs are going to evolve. It's going to be less time behind the desk, more time in the field. It's going to be, going out and helping build your business by maybe going to find more owners who want to use your company as a property management business. So I think that there are, the roles will shift. The work will still be there, but the work will be different. That's the way I anticipate seeing that change.
In general, so not even just talking about, AppFolio's different offerings, what would you say is the one biggest gain that people in property management, real estate, what is the one biggest gain that they can get if they haven't started to use AI already?
Yeah. So I think there's a couple of things. I mean, one, there's time savings. That's a huge component. But I also think there's consistency and experience. By leveraging AI, who will do the same thing every time, you can create a very consistent experience for your residents or for people you interact with in your business. And so that's one thing. And I think that's something people don't always think about, right? When you're training an employee, you have to train them how to run your business. You've got your SOP binder, right? Which is like, here's all the things that we do. And if you can teach an AI to do that, now you've created this consistent experience.
I love it. I love talking to, people that run AI departments or are in charge of artificial intelligence at large companies such as yourself, Kat, because I like to ask them this: aside from, the actual products that you're ultimately, products, services, software features that you're, making for all of your customers, how are you using generative AI in your day-to-day role aside from building it?
Yeah. So I don't take notes at all. I stopped taking notes, and so when I'm in a meeting, and I spend probably 80% of my day in meetings in my role. I used to take notes, and I'd have notebooks filled with notes. And then I would be like, okay, I know I wrote down an action item and I need to go back and do that. So I actually use a tool that takes notes for me during my meetings. And not only does it take the notes, but it summarizes the notes. So it's not just a transcription. It summarizes the notes and it tells me the actions and it assigns who that action is assigned to. It's amazing. It's a time change. It's like a game changer. And so when I'm in the meeting, I am 100% present in the meeting versus trying to capture notes. Wait, can you repeat that? And that's been to me, that's like a game changer.
That's huge. And I'm curious because everyone's going to be asking which program do you use for that?
I use Superpowered.
AI, yeah, that's a great one. Yeah. And hey, if you are listening on the podcast too, we'll make sure to put in, we've done two separate episodes on different ways to use AI, even in the, in your meeting. So we've talked about this one multiple times, but great tip there from Cat. So Cat, I'm also wondering, is it hard to change people's behavior, right? So whether we're talking about, property, property owners, real estate, companies that, maybe they're like, hey, we've been successful for decades, doing things the old fashioned way. Is there maybe, I'm not going to say a danger to that, but is there a huge downside to just doing things the way that they've always been done if everyone else, in the industry is realizing these huge gains in time savings? Is that a bad thing if they don't jump on board?
Oh, I think it will definitely be a competitive disadvantage, right? When your competitors are able to run their business more efficiently with less people, getting more work done, building those relationships, they're going to be stealing those, your customers away from you. So I do think it's going to be a competitive disadvantage for folks who don't think about how to leverage technology to drive the business outcomes they want, right? But I think to your point earlier, it's hard to change behavior. I'm guilty of it. I've been using AI tools for years, right? And I still go back to the old way of doing things because it's what's comfortable, or I have this muscle memory that says I should read that entire article from, start to finish, instead of using, a tool that will summarize and give me the cliff notes. I think those are little things that are behavior changes that are really hard, and you have to be deliberate. And so when we're asking customers to do something similar, we have to give them a little bit of space and grace, right? To know that it's going to take them a little while to get over the fence. But I think it's about our job is to show them the value, how does it help them, demonstrate it. And then that's the thing. That's the proof is in the pudding, right? Then they're willing to give it a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you've been, helping build, AI powered offerings for AppFolio. But maybe as we think about what hasn't happened yet, right? Because like you said, you've seen a 90% adoption rate for people using, and I'm sure the majority of those people have seen positive gains and, positive outcomes from using these different AI features. But kind of what's next, right? When we look at real estate and the intersection of artificial intelligence, generative AI, large language models, what maybe hasn't happened yet for the industry, but you can see, hey, this is one of the next big obstacles or the next big time-saving pieces that our industry is going to see soon. Yeah.
So I think the way that people interact with the tools will change fundamentally. So I'm a huge proponent of speech to text or using voice dictation to get things done. I've no longer can I use the texting on my iPhone. For some reason, the keyboard's gotten smaller. I don't know what it is. I transpose letters all the time. So I use voice all the time. I think voice is going to be an interesting foray into, using voice with generative AI. And so I'll give you an example where I think it could be really powerful. So I'm on a property, I'm walking around, I see a car parked illegally. and I'm like, okay, whose car is that? Which tenant owns that, BMW? I could use voice dictation into my phone in an app that maybe has access to my tenant records. And I can say, tell me whose car has this license plate. It brings up that record. And from there, I can say, send a text to so-and-so, tell them if you don't move their car in the next 2 hours, I'm gonna have it towed. And I don't have to do anything. I just use my phone and I use voice dictation. Like that, I think, is the power of generative AI in the future. And so now I don't have to go back to the office to look that person up on the computer. That is, I think, where it will change the way we interact with technology and solve our problems in our businesses, right? And so that's just one example where I think it'd be pretty powerful.
I think that's a great point too, because when you think about, the real estate industry and property management, it's everyone is on the go, right? You're at those properties, you're at those facilities. And even myself, like I hate texting. Like my wife was watching me text last night and I tried to send the same word 4 times and I got it wrong each and every time. So I think even myself, I just need to get to more just, text to speech. It's terrible. So maybe Cat, we've talked about so much here so far today. We've talked about how AI can actually, bring a little more personal and a little more human face-to-face interaction. We talked about even what AppFolio is doing to, offer these new AI features to customers. But maybe if there was one takeaway, right, that you wanted people to know about, how AI can best be used in the industry. What is that one piece of advice that you have for people that, can really help them, if they work there, grow their career? What is that one piece of advice that you have?
Yeah. So I think the reason people get into the real estate industry is because they want to help people get housing. Like it's one of the most important things that we can provide in this in this industry is like, hey, we're helping people find a home. We're helping people feel safe and secure. And so how do you leverage technology to help you on that mission, right? And I think if you use technology that allows you to be more efficient, get more done, you're helping more people find housing. And I think that you can tie that mission to the technology. And I think that's something that we don't often think about. We kind of forget about, why we get into this business in the first place. And so I think to me, my advice would be, don't be afraid of the technology. Try it. It's only going to help you. And it will help your business and it'll help you really achieve that goal, which is, helping your residents have a great experience or helping somebody find an apartment who maybe is having a hard time doing it. And so I think that is kind of the way I think about how we solve these problems for our customers.
It's good. Yes. It's still like what I love there, Cat, is everything you said. It wasn't about technology. It's actually about helping humans. And I think that's a great takeaway for people tuning in today that, hey, AI can be used in this industry to help humans have better outcomes. It's fantastic. Well, Cat, we covered so much. Thank you so much for joining the Everyday AI Show. We super appreciate your time.
Great. Thank you.
All right. And hey, as a reminder, everyone, we talked about a lot. Don't worry. We're going to be recapping it all in our daily newsletter. So make sure, if you haven't already, go to youreverydayai.com, sign up for the free daily newsletter. Don't take it from me. Josh literally said the Everyday AI newsletter is the bee's knees. Thanks, Josh. So we'll be recapping our conversation with Cat, a little bit more about what AppFolio does. It's all going to be in there. So thank you for joining us today, and we hope to see you back tomorrow and every day for more Everyday AI. Thanks, y'all.
And that's a wrap for today's edition of Everyday AI. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a rating. It helps keep us going. For a little more AI magic, visit youreverydayai.com and sign up to our daily newsletter so you don't get left behind. Go break some barriers, and we'll see you next time.